What's going on, everybody? Checking in with a quick mock draft. Just going to give you guys a quick preview of how the draft could look. This is obviously pre-lottery picks. Just did a quick board on fanspo.com. Just created a mock draft like as is with obviously the lottery is going to shake everything up, and that's going to be the variance of where Cooper Flagg goes at the top. Obviously he's a surefire number one pick this year, so where he goes and whatever team and teams are in the top three, top five, that's going to dictate where obviously, everyone gets placed, but where the draft goes and what direction and which prospects end up going in what spots, because there's a lot of teams that were hurt this year. For instance, like the Pelicans, the Sixers, the Hornets with LaMelo Ball, that are a little bit closer than you would imagine for a lot of these top picks to go to. So there's a lot of teams that are very close or on the verge of the playoffs right now, like the Mavericks, obviously the Bulls, the Spurs with Victor Wembanyama. Like a lot of teams I just mentioned, obviously the Sixers and the Pelicans, if they keep Zion, that are closer to the playoffs. Especially the Rockets, even they're in the first round right now, battling the Warriors, and they have a chance to number one pick. The variance with Cooper Flagg or where he goes, and then obviously Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper. It's gonna be interesting to see what teams pick where. So, without further ado, this is my mock draft right now. Like I said, this is solely based on team needs and where I think, given the obviously the reverse order right now as is with obviously it's gonna change a lot once the lottery is actually set. But let's check it out with number one, Cooper Flagg to the Jazz. It's obviously a home run pick for the Jazz. That's a no-brainer. That's an easy selection. Cooper Flagg's the best player in the country, best prospect. Generational talent, I think, in my opinion, he is. I think he's a two-way superstar potential. Seen some comparisons to Kawhi Leonard. I don't really know what comparison you can really give Cooper Flagg. I don't think I've seen a player like him on this circuit, or at least his generation. I don't really think I've seen a player too much like him in the way he plays. He has quite I think he has more of an old school game and mentality and IQ mixed with a new age modern skills. So I think that's kind of where the Kawhi comparisons will come in. And I think that's a fair comparison. But like I said, I think what he has in his game is still a little bit different than a lot of people I've seen or anyone I've seen. As a defender, I think from the beginning he's going to rack up the blocks and steals, like kind of similar to he did in college, but it's going to really show his athleticism and defense on the next level. And if his shots fall and the way that he can really finish around the basket and create for himself, still has to tighten up the handle and get better at shot creation, and get separation. But his aggressiveness, playmaking ability, like I said, on both ends, I think he's somebody. Obviously, I think he's going to be at the running for Rookie of the Year. That doesn't have to be said, but he can turn a franchise around from day one. And I think that's something about the variance at the top of this draft. Right now it's just the Jazz. They were the worst team in the league last year. They're terrible. But if you get Cooper Flagg right now, you got to look at that team, and they're not that far off from what you would call a team that can compete for obviously a play-in spot next year. And sure, it'd be tough to you see the West right now with the gauntlet of top six teams, and then the play-in tournament this year was a lot more competitive than like the Eastern Conference, but it's kind of crazy to add like a Cooper Flagg to a team that already has an all-star with Larry Markkinen. You have Walker Kessler, Keontae George, Isaiah Collier out of USC, who obviously USC alum. He's, man, really impressed his rookie year. I'm really proud of how he played this year, and remind people how he was the number one point guard in the country a couple years ago, but didn't have a great year at USC. It wasn't his fault. He had some injuries, and then the team wasn't, we had underachieved that year, but fell in the draft. Great selection by the Jazz, and looks like somebody who can, play point for them for a minute. And obviously you have Clarkson still, and then Kyle Filipowski from Duke played well last year as a rookie. Johnny Juzang, really high on Bryce Sensabaugh, and then Taylor Hendricks would come back from his injury. That's a team that you can convince yourself that they can go from 17 wins, which is, they start tanking early. Like, that's the only thing with the Jazz. Like, they people talk about ethical and unethical tanking. The Jazz tanked really early with their guys, and look, whatever. Like the lottery is what it is, though. That doesn't guarantee you're gonna get the number one pick or even the top three at this point. I mean, probably the top three, but it's the variance is crazy because you saw the Hawks were in a play-in last year, and they got the number one pick last year, and Zachary Ricochet played well this year, but imagine if it was a draft where the talent was generational in this case, or viewed as these are some all-star caliber guys with Flagg, Ace Bailey, and Dylan Harper, and amongst others. It'll be a different story. We're like, oh, the Hawks, they're in a playing team. Like that's a very low percentage of the number one pick, and they got it. Like the lottery's a little bit more crazy in terms of variance these days. So, like I said, we'll see where Cooper Flag goes, but obviously I got him going number one to the Jazz. No brainer pick. Number two is where it starts to get interesting because obviously, once again, it's not going to be the order, but the Wizards. It's going back and forth from this pick, but I think given in this spot, they would go Ace Bailey just because I think Dylan Harper would be incredible for them. I really do think that he'd be great off the ball with Bub Carrington. But I think what they're trying to build there with the length with Sarr, I feel like it would make sense to put Bailey in that lineup with Keyshawn George and Sarr and Bub Carrington. That'd be a tough pick, though. I'm 50-50 on that one. That's not something I'm, sold on because Dylan Harper is incredible. I think he's number 2 prospect in this draft. But if the Wizards are in that spot, do you take Bailey? I think that's more of a gamble. Then Harper is a sure thing and playoff ball with Carrington. But it's going to be interesting because, you still have Bilal Coulibaly. I didn't even mention him, but you pair him with Bailey. I think that jumbo lineup could give teams problems, and I think Bailey's going to be great as well in the league. We can basically tie in the Hornets pick with this too, number 3, because I think similar situation. I don't think they should overthink that pick at number 3. If Dylan Harper's there, you take him. If Ace Bailey's there, you take him for the Hornets because you need somebody to pair with LaMelo. And I think at this point, I'm a huge LaMelo fan, but you need to have somebody. You need to have insurance as well in a way because, granted, LaMelo did just re-up for his contract, but you need to have insurance in terms of his availability because, unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to stay on the court just because of a bunch of injuries. But they didn't have Trey Mann this year. They didn't have LaMelo. Obviously, it's a good year to tank or whatever because of the injuries, though. But these are your top 2 point guards, or top 2 guards basically on the team. So, or ball handlers or shot creators, whatever you want to call them. You need a guy like a Dylan Harper. That's like him with LaMelo, even playing off ball, spotting up and driving and creating off the secondary. I think he'd be able to thrive with next LaMelo. And then the games with LaMelo, if he is out or they just have Harper in running the second unit. He's somebody who can really just show his true potential as an all-star in the league, and I think he's going to really kill from day one. So I would tie these 2 picks together. I think Bailey and Harper go back-to-back. Like I said, it just kind of depends on your preference. I think what the Wizards are trying to build, they would go Bailey just because of the size and the length with Carrington, Coulibaly, Ace Bailey, Keyshawn George, and Alex Sarr. I think you can convince yourself into that. And then same thing with Harper, though. He's 6'6". He's huge. I think either way, I think they can kind of interchange the 2. But 50-50 on these 2 picks. I think given this order and these 2 picks is Bailey Harper, but just depends on your preference. Number 4, I have Kasparas Jakucionas from Illinois. I think I butchered his last name, but Kasparas. He's more of a combo guard, I guess, but I think he's more of a point guard in the league, obviously. He's somebody who can be really, really good as a shot creator in the NBA. The Pelicans just need talent. I think they would go best available here. I don't really know where people's draft boards are. For me, it's kind of all over the place because I didn't really watch as much college basketball as I should have this year. But I feel like he's a prospect in the top 10 at the very least, probably as high as 7 or 8. I think just because of his potential as a shot creator, his pace. He's somebody. I think Kasparas really just showed his way to lead a team and lead a team as a playmaker last year. His all around game, his floor game, plays like more projects as an all around um, shot creator and point guard. So I think that's what the Hornets or the Pelicans need right now. They need somebody. They need a new direction. They'll just go best available. I think Kasparas, there's a case to be made that he's one of the best available at this point. But at number 5, that does leave VJ Edgecombe. And I think, once again, this is where these picks start to go back and forth. I don't think the Sixers will go guards. So I don't think they would go Kasparas at 5, for instance. But if he does jump up that high or has like great workouts and whatnot, he does have a chance. I think he does have a chance to crack the top 5, or a couple guys do. But I think Kasparas has a chance. I think Jeremiah Fears, low-key, has a chance. Same with Malauch, he has a chance. Not so sure about Derik Queen. Trey Johnson, I think, could get into the top 10 easily. But there's a lot of guys. Workouts are going to change. Obviously, the draft board is going to change. My mock draft's going to change. This is just really early. I hope you guys, if you think this is trash, please let me know, because I got to get it together before the actual draft starts, because my picks are all over the place, because I think these teams, obviously the lottery isn't set. It's kind of hard to evaluate some of these prospects over the other after the top 3 or 5. It just depends on your boards, but I've seen guys all over the place where, like I said, I didn't dive deep enough into everybody as a whole to do an entire big board this year. So I'm kind of drafting based on immediacy, need, and then like overall talent right now for a lot of these guys. So, but yeah, number 5, I would say VJ Edgecombe to the Sixers. That's just a pure upside pick right there. I think they would go best available too. That's a home run though, I think, for them, potentially. He's a crazy athlete, getting better with the 3 ball. He's really fearless going to the basket too, like really athletic. I think he's somebody who can project as a really good 3-level guy too, eventually, and really be one of the best overall wings and just explosive players from this draft. I think he's gonna have an interesting rookie year too with a lot of these dudes. So you gotta remember, once again, it's just the variance of what their fit's gonna be and what they're gonna be asked to do in their first year. So let's put it like this: some of these guys are gonna challenge for all rookie because of how incredible they are, and they'll have a better fit. Some of these guys are going to be on a playoff team where they're going to have to prove themselves as a top 5 pick and might not play at the outset. Like I said, because of these teams and the variance of these teams, like for instance, whoever gets drafted to the Spurs, say they have a top 5, top 6 pick, you're fighting for the rotation on that team. Same with the Rockets. Like, you're not just cracking that rotation from day one. It's just really interesting this year. I think VJ Edgecombe is a guy, for instance, with the Sixers. He would have to come in and play off the bench this year, kind of similar to Ron Holland with the Pistons. We'll just have to see how like I said, the lottery shakes out, but a lot of these guys are going to have to, their first year might not be indicative of how good they're going to be in the league long term, just because of opportunity and then availability to play might not be there from day one, just depending on where they get drafted. He's a guy that really impressed me last year as a freshman with Baylor, and that'd be a huge get for them. They definitely need a player like him that can come in and just be explosive and kind of add to what they did. They picked up Justin Edwards last year. He was a top high school player a couple of years ago as well, and he had a decent year at Kentucky, but didn't really have a crazy year. And with all the 5 stars teaming up on certain teams these days, like, they can't really show their true potential. And he came in, he was ready to play with all the injuries in Philly this year and showed that he was a legit NBA player. Obviously, he had Jared McCain, who was Rookie of the Year favorite before he went down with injury. Obviously, he had Joel Embiid, Paul George, a lot of guys who had injury-plagued years. So Sixers can come back next year with a guy like VJ Edgecombe or any top 5 pick and be really crazy next year. Number 6, kind of sticking with best available, or just, this was kind of a riskier pick. I wasn't sure about this one. This was probably the most risky pick that I have in the first round right now. I think Jeremiah Fears is somebody who's going to be shooting up draft boards a lot with a lot of the workouts. And if you look at his tape, he's somebody who just looks like he can take over certain stretches from day one in the league. I just think his game is just tailor made to play in the NBA. It's a really tough guard. He's patient. He kind of attacks in different ways with his creative moves off the dribble. He's got decent size at 6'4". He's not a crazy um, tall player, but he plays bigger than his size. And I don't know, he just has kind of a just command of the game when he goes to the score. Pretty good passer as well. He's gonna have to play a lot of combo guard, point guard next year, but he's good. I think Jeremiah Fears is gonna end up cracking top 10 easily. Probably go as high as right here, like a 6, or I don't know if he's gonna crack the top 5. It's gonna be tough to get the top 5, but it depends. I mean, a lot of these teams, once again, it just kind of depends on need. It's going to depend on fit. Some of these teams are going to take the leap because, once again, you could be drafting a high level backup in the beginning, just because these teams could be stacked with more veteran laden, teams that are trying to fight for the playoffs in the beginning. So I think Fears can come in with the Nets though, and they need everything. They have some athletes on the wing. They have Keon Johnson. He's a free agent. Tyrese Martin's a free agent. You have Cam Thomas coming back, but they need still a punch in the back. They need a punch everywhere, but they definitely could use some in the backcourt still. And I think Jeremiah Fears can give them that from the first day. Number 7, I have Khaman Malauch going to the Raptors. The Raptors kind of need everything. I think Jakob Poeltl is not long for that team. I think Contender's going to try and come and get him. Whether he's going to be a backup or not, I think some team's going to try and get him, and the Raptors going to have to go big. And I think Malauch right here at number 7 is a pretty good value. A lot of people have him top 5. He's shooting up a lot of draft boards, kind of similar to Fierce. And for him, his floor is 10. I don't think he's going to fall past that. I don't think he's going to fall past the 8 range, really. But I think he's going to thrive in the league as well. I don't know about from his rookie year, if he's going to have a huge rookie year, but kind of similar to Zach Edey. I think his size in this smallish league, he's going to put up numbers where, maybe he's not quote unquote ready for the league and all the physical aspects of just getting ready, his body ready. But his emergent skill, and the only thing I need him to pick up on is just like a higher motor, just him, being more energetic on the court, that kind of stuff, and getting better as a rebounder. Obviously, you saw him in the Houston game where didn't I don't think record a rebound, and part of the reason why Duke lost, they just didn't close the margins a little bit better. But it's a learning experience. He hasn't played too much basketball. He's still in the early stages of his basketball career, and he's gonna get better, I think, really, really fast. Especially got to consider he played in the Olympics, played a year at Duke. By the time he gets in the summer league and the league, I think, like I said, well, he could have a decent rookie year, actually. I think he's going to have a solid rookie year wherever he goes. Like his best days are 2 or 3 years down the line. But yeah, he's going to be incredible as a shot blocker. He's getting the 3-ball better. And yeah, he's going to be able to score in the middle, get easy buckets. As long as he just continues to polish his offense, I think the defense is going to be there. And, obviously discipline and conditioning and playing an NBA schedule, I think it'll be really solid for a team that has the patience to develop and actually can develop in the right way. Number 8, I have Knueppel going to the Spurs. This is a tough pick. I don't really know what the Spurs would do right here. Number of directions they could go. The only thing with the Spurs is their team is pretty 2-man deep already in theory, but it kind of depends on how you look at them, because obviously you have rotation. You have Wembanyama, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. You have Harrison Barnes still there next year, Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagnie. They got a pretty solid team. I think if you add somebody like Knueppel to that team, you have easily the best shooter on that entire lineup. They need some shooting. I think the Spurs definitely need to You look at all those guys in that list. The best shooter in that lineup is Champagny, but his minutes are more of a utility manner. When you have Vassell and Stephon Castle helped at the same time with Keldon Johnson, there's just not a lot of minutes to go around right there. I think Knueppel can come in and play and contribute right away, not only as a shooter, but like as a decent defender, playmaker. He's gonna surprise people with his all-around game once he gets comfortable playing in the league. And I think San Antonio is a great spot for him to kind of ease his way into playing on the team that once again would have play-in or playoff aspirations next year. And he can come in and just play a nice role and ease himself into kind of what Stephon Castle did last year. Just his talent outshined a lot of other people. He ended, in my opinion, he ended the season as San Antonio's clear-cut third best player over Devin Vassell, and I didn't see that coming. Coming into the year, clear-cut rookie of the year, and clear-cut San Antonio's third best player. So I'm not saying Knueppel is going to come in and do the same thing, but I think he has a chance to solidify himself as a real rotation player, whether San Antonio or otherwise. Number 9 with the Rockets, I think this would be a home run pick for them if they were able to get Derik Queen as a backup center. You already have Steven Adams there. I'm not sure his contract is, but I don't think he's there for much longer. I know he'll have plenty of suitors too whenever he's a free agent. And either way, I think Derik Queen's somebody who can come in and play at the center, or even obviously didn't play last year at Maryland, but even if you had to have him in the Nas Reed role where he could play power forward in stretches or double big with Sengun, that'd be a home run pick for the Rockets, who just incredible asset management, getting that 9th pick and being able to be a team with, young contender, just like the Thunder, like how they're doing it. But you also have that draft capital where the Suns, obviously, they weren't expected to be bad, but their pick goes straight to the Rockets. And that's a huge, huge win for them where they can get a really high-level prospect. And obviously, a lot of people say that, Reed Shepherd didn't play this year, but he's somebody who can kick in next year and help them. Same with Cam Whitmore. You never know when he can actually use his talented players or when they're going to be able to contribute. They got Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason in the same draft a couple years ago. It's just, you got to be able to be patient with these guys, and they've developed themselves very, very well. And once these spots start opening up, they can just ease into being used to the culture and just being used to winning, and kind of similar to what the Thunder are doing. So Derik Queen would just give them so much versatility on the front line with, just his ball handling ability, his playmaking, be able to score inside out. He has a lot of upside, all-star upside in my opinion, for a lot of teams in the lottery too. I think Houston's one of them. Well, weirdly enough, Houston might not be one of them because they already have an all-star. He would learn a lot from Sengun in this case, but to build a team or to round out a team that's trying to win a title, I think this would even be a swing. Could be a home run pick in my opinion, just because of his talent, and I think because of you have to take these types of risks in the top 10. You have to go best available, and I think if you keep building your team specifically with these talented bigs, you already have, like I said, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith Jr., great size at their positions, and then you have Alperen Sengun, Derik Queen. That's a lot of talent. You have 4 ball handling guys who are 6'9" or taller. This is very, very unique. I think they could build a very unique team if they were to draft somebody like Derik Queen. Number 10, Trailblazers. This is somebody I'm really high on in the draft. I saw his tape. It kind of reminds me of Brandon Clark a little bit. Not so much in terms of his floater game, but just his IQ and being able to finish and being relentless on the glass. Obviously when Clark was younger and injury free. But Asa Newell from Georgia, I think he's somebody who can surprise and get into that top 10. He's pretty solid, athletic. He's a lefty. Really, really good in the glass. As a freshman, you look at Georgia's games, and he really kept him in it with the injury and with his energy. And couldn't really tell how good he was in the beginning, but yeah, his production just kept up the entire season. Like I said, especially on the boards and his activity, his ability to just score around the rim, and really make smart decisions off the roll. Like I think that's something that making quick decisions in the NBA is underrated. That's something that's a given for a lot of players with experience, but it's a lot of cases where he's just off the roll, like really making quick decisions, like either rather put the ball down one time or go up, or just kind of depends. And his shots not bad too. His shots getting a lot better from outside. Like he's not, gonna light it up from the beginning, but you can see that new wave game kind of creeping in. But it's gonna take it's gonna take some discipline to get the jumper there. But his physicality, his ability to invite contact. I think with the Blazers, you have guys like Tumani Kamara, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Denny Avdia. He had a great year. You pair a guy with like Asa Newell with that system, what Chauncey Billups is trying to build, and I think they have a chance to kind of develop a culture, especially defensively, where they have these athletes and these guys who can start to overwhelm you. Like they're kind of building a team like I said, it's not really similar to, obviously everybody wants that OKC model now, but if you build your team specifically with athletes and guys who can compete on defense and, really kill the glass, and they have to get a replacement for Jeremy Grant as well. So I think Asa Newell just kind of makes a lot of sense there. I was kind of torn at number 11. I didn't really know where to go with the Mavericks pick, but right here I got them taking Texas Longhorn Trey Johnson. I think this is where his slide would end. I think there's no way that he falls out of the top 11 to 12 picks, and he's probably not gonna fall top 10 low key. He's as high as 5 on a lot of drafts. It's gonna be interesting to see where Kasparas, Jeremiah Fears, Edgecombe, Trey Johnson, the order with a lot of them, and same with Collin Knueppel. Interesting to see that order. He probably won't fall this far. I think this would be incredible for the Mavericks, more so than anything. He's somebody just crazy 6'6", shot creator, really inventive game where just really light it up as a scorer. Some people have questions, can he do other things long term and, really contribute in, areas of the scoring. But I think his scoring ability, his natural scoring ability does remind you of a Cameron Thomas, like maybe just a bigger Cameron Thomas, or just somebody who like just really, really similar to that, just in terms of creativity. But he's just more athletic. He kind of uses his frame a little bit better. Yeah, I just feel like there's no reign to his game. Like I don't think that you can just really put a cap to how good he can be because of his athleticism and his just crazy shot making ability. Like you just see like the stuff that he does. Like it's just really, I don't know, it just kind of reminds you of him and Cooper Flagg kind of have like these old school games where it kind of reminds you of like just guys used to hoop at the park or like, used to play outside consistently. Like I don't know. He kind of has that game that's just doesn't look refined, but everything he does, like he's just very skilled. Like he's very skilled and he's done these moves a million times. Like he's just very confident in all of his shot making. And it really shows off because he makes a lot of crazy shots, a lot of unorthodox shots. And like I said, at 6'6", that can take you very far. And with his athleticism, he's going to get stronger. And a stronger Trey Johnson is a scary sight. He's listed as 185 right now at 6'6". By the time he gets to 205, by his second, third year potentially, he can really, really overwhelm people as a scorer. Defensively, we'll see how that goes, but I think the right system and then, going to Dallas would be best case situation. He's from Dallas. That would be an incredible spot for him. Like I said, I don't know if this would. I'm trying to throw the Mavs a bone here. They traded Lucas, so I got to give them something. Trey Johnson would be a home run pick. Instant with Kyrie and Anthony Davis. Somebody who can potentially bring some excitement back to Mavs basketball. At number 12, my Chicago Bulls got them selecting Collin Murray-Boyles at South Carolina. Been back and forth on the Bulls pick. I was definitely at the camp where they should have been tanking this entire season. I don't know why they didn't. that's neither here nor there. So they're in this spot. Hopefully they get some lottery help or lottery luck. But if they stay at the 12th spot, I think somebody like Collin Murray-Boyles makes a lot of sense. He's underrated. He's kind of similar to Asa Newell. It's gonna be similar. It's gonna be interesting to see who goes higher in the draft. I kind of grouped them together. This dude's a beast on the boards at 6'7". Like he really goes after rebounds. That's something I really like already. Defensively, monster. A lot of people seen some Draymond comparisons. I think his athleticism and what he brings to the table is his smarts. He's an instant contributor. He's an all-rookie candidate next year, in my opinion. I think what we are trying to build in Chicago, I have no idea. But if you're trying to stockpile talent, what you kind of wanted Patrick Williams to be or do, I think Murray-Boyles does that right now probably better. Right there alone is a reason why you would take him. He's more of a classic power forward. He doesn't really shoot threes. I think they would have to coexist. If you take both or take him and have Williams, who's still on a few more years left on his deal that they just signed, they can both coexist. I think Murray-Boyles is more of a classic power forward, and hopefully that would push Patrick Williams back to his more natural small forward position. I think that would be a decent tandem, decent pairing. Assume that both of them come off the bench next year. Murray-Boyles is somebody who can come in and play NBA defense from the jump. I think with the right development, his offense could really be interesting in the NBA too. It just kind of depends on how the Bulls will want to develop him or whatever team he goes to. But he's going to be tough. He's going to be somebody I think can really surprise wherever he goes. But I'll be really happy with him at 12. I think that'd be a great pick for the Bulls. I think we definitely need somebody who can come in and play defense, make plays, hustle, score inside. He's got some decent offensive moves off the bounce too. He's not afraid to mix it up at all too. Yeah, I think he's somebody who can bring a level of toughness and just versatility that the Bulls have been lacking for a couple years. And yeah, I don't know, kind of similar to Newell. I just like players who are really talented, like new age lefties especially. They've got some decent games. They've got some interesting type of games. I think Murray-Boyles is somebody who can play make off the roll. I think he'll be able to do a lot of different things. Instantly in Chicago's system and be able to open up with Josh Giddey, Kobe White. He's somebody who can just step in from day one and be able to play consistently. Number 13, I got the Hawks taking Noah Essengue. I'm going to stick with the French thing with Zachary Richardson last year, and it's because of his versatility as a scorer. He's got some decent finishing ability. He's pretty slight at, I think he's 6'8", 6'9", 195, so kind of similar to Richardson coming in where he has to still put on weight, but his shot looks pretty decent. He's somebody who likes to attack off the dribble, like I said. Decent finishing ability. And the Hawks just need good players. You want to have somebody who can pair alongside Jalen Johnson. And, if they want to keep Trae Young at the helm as the franchise player, they have to continue to get guys who can just make plays. And it's kind of similar to the Hornets situation. I think stockpiling size and building size, like the Hornets and the Wizards, building size just makes sense with a familiarity with both with him and Richardson too. Makes a lot of sense to have that built-in chemistry in different lineups when Trae's not on the floor or when he's on the floor, and just kind of opening that up. But yeah, I think Essengue definitely is somebody who can kind of come in and contribute as a slasher, a shooter. From day one, especially if he goes to a team like the Hawks where there's built-in chemistry with him and Richardson. And then my last lottery pick, got the Spurs taking Jase Richardson. This pick was just best available. I really don't know why I have Jase Richardson going to the Spurs because they don't necessarily need a guard. I think on Stephon Castle last year and getting De'Aaron Fox, but it just kind of depends. I don't know. I mean, this is at the point in the draft where, once again, to me, it's kind of all over the place after around 4 or 5. VJ Edgecombe is probably the fourth guy after Flagg, Bailey, and Harper, but just depends if you like Trey Johnson, if feel like Malauch, Fears, Knueppel, Derik Queen's high on a lot of draft boards. Kasparas, Jase Richardson even is, Murray-Boyles. The variability of this draft and the variance of where Cooper Flagg could go is going to dictate a lot of things. See where these picks or eventually shake out. But for me, I like Jase Richardson's game a lot. He's a lefty, combo guard, extremely efficient, athletic, can play from outside, inside. He's comfortable going to the basket, but then also, really confident as an outside shooter, can get it going. I don't know. I think he's somebody who can. You have to envision him like a few years from now too. I think he's somebody who can really, really get it going as a go-to guy or as a dynamic scorer in the league. Kind of similar to Fears, like these guys kind of come in looking slight and have to put on pounds, but at 6'3", he's gonna have to figure out. He's a really solid defender. He's got to figure out who he's best at defending in terms of point guards and shooting guards, because he's gonna have to play both positions. And I think he projects more as a shooting guard than a point in the league. He's got some talent. He's got some real talent. He's got some smarts too. He's a really good, really high IQ basketball player, knowing how and when to attack. And it kind of reflects with how efficient he can be on a game-to-game basis. So, yeah, I think Jase Richardson is somebody I really like in the draft. I have him going here to the Spurs just because I didn't want to leave him out the lottery. But like I said, this lottery, you can look at this whole board and say this is trash. But this is just where I think these teams could do, given these spots. Obviously, it's not going to shake out this way because this order isn't set. But there's an argument to be made that all these prospects make sense for these teams just because of where they're at and they're standing. Let me go a quick rundown one time before I sign off. But Cooper Flagg's a Jazz just because of it's no-brainer generational pick. Ace Bailey because of the size. That lineup with Carrington, Ace Bailey, Koulibaly, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr. I think that could be dynamic. Dylan Harper to the Hornets with LaMelo Ball. Obviously, they would go Bailey or Harper. That'd be a slam dunk either way. I have Kasparas going to the Pelicans. That's more of a surprise pick. Obviously, over Edgecombe or Trey Johnson could go that high. As a few guys don't think Malauch because they just got Yves Missi last year. But I think he's somebody who can come in and be a great playmaker for them for a long time. VJ Edgecombe would be a slam dunk for the Sixers at 5 just because his athleticism, his upside as a finisher and as a shooter, potentially. Jeremiah Fears is somebody who can come in and be alpha scorer, I think, at some point for the Nets or any team that's looking for somebody who can kind of command a few different levels of scoring. Got Malauch to the Raptors. They're going to need a center at some point. I think that would make sense for them. That would be a good pick alongside Scotty Barnes. You got RJ Barrett there, Brandon Ingram. They're building something. I don't know what it is, but he'd be a good addition to that squad. Collin Knueppel will be a good addition to San Antonio's rotation with Victor Wembanyama. De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell. He's somebody who can come in off the bench with Jeremy Sohan and Keldon Johnson and be able to score on the wing, make plays, and then grab boards. He's more of an all-around wing than just a shooter, and I think he'd fit in great. Derik Queen would be a great backup in Houston. Obviously they're a contender, young team, but I think he'd be an excellent backup to Sengun and has incredible upside. Newell would be great with the Blazers lineup that also features Toumani Camara and a few others. I think he'd be great defensively, really help out in the glass. They need a power forward who can rebound. Trey Johnson, Dallas native, going to Dallas would be huge for that fan base. That'd be where his slide would end in this scenario. I don't think he's going to fall this far. I don't think that's going to happen. But in this scenario, Dallas fans get what they want. Colin Murray-Boyles to my Chicago Bulls, that would be a great pickup for the Bulls. Guy who's super versatile, can really defend, score in the paint. Would help the Bulls kind of develop some more toughness and more of an identity on defense, which they definitely need. Noah Essengue to the Atlanta Hawks. I think that makes a lot of sense with Zachary Reese-Shea there. Having that built-in chemistry, he's somebody who's a good finisher. I think he's developing that three-point shot. Has to put on some weight similar to Reese Shea, but I think he's can contribute as a slasher and a shooter from the first day. Steps foot in Atlanta. It's more of a project, but I think that'd be a solid pick for them. And finally, Jase Richardson to the Spurs at number 14. Like I said, it's more of a best player available type of thing, but yeah, we'll see how everybody shakes out. The draft is pretty unpredictable. Doing a mock draft before the lottery is just kind of, I'm not going to call it pointless, but this is just what I think these teams could do, and I think all these picks could help them go into next year and then beyond. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about these picks. I'm going to do another mock draft after the lottery, but this is volume 1 of my 2025 NBA mock draft. I'll check back in volume 2 after the lottery, but keep it locked to Delay Game Hoops for more content, and subscribe for more content. Check out our word search book too. The Ultimate Hoops word search is available now on Amazon. Hit the link in the description, and see you guys next time.